Picture a venue. You've got great food, strong brand, fair pay and reasonable hours, but a revolving door of staff. The owner is baffled. They've done everything right on paper, but what they haven't looked at is how people feel at work every single day. Not just what they're told to feel, not the values up on the wall, but how they actually feel to be there. Every workplace has two cultures. The cognitive culture, that's your values, your mission statement, and your strategy document. But then there's a second culture, which is your emotional culture. And that's how people actually feel when they show up at work. What emotions are safe to show and what gets suppressed. And in most venues, these two cultures are very different. The wall says we're a team, but the reality feels like every shift is for yourself. And leaders almost never deliberately design their emotional culture. But it exists whether you design it or not. And in hospitality, it determines almost everything. You see, your staff are performing emotional labour constantly. They're managing their own feelings whilst managing your customers' feelings, and that takes its toll. Every table, every service, every difficult interaction, that has a real cost. So if your emotional culture doesn't give them somewhere to put that, if they have to pretend to be fine, swallow frustration, and perform positively regardless of what's happening, that cost compounds slowly until they leave or until they stop caring. And that's what we don't want. So in the HOSPO Health Leaders program, we run a full session using the emotional culture deck. And this is a tool that makes the invisible visible. It opens conversations that most teams have never ever had. And the effect on how people work together is immediate. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You, as a leader, are the primary driver of emotional culture in your business. Your mood when you walk through the door sets a tone for the entire shift. What you acknowledge, what you ignore, and how you react when something goes wrong, your team is always watching all of it. And that's not just your managers, it's everyone in the team. So at your next team meeting, ask one simple question. How do you want to feel when you're at work? And let people answer honestly. Then write the answers down, and that's your emotional culture baseline. And the interesting fact is that most teams have never ever been asked. Start to look at what you recognise and praise. If it's only technical performance, things such as speed, covers and upsell, what you're really doing is building an emotional culture where only output matters. So start to add one acknowledgement this week that recognises how someone showed up that wasn't just what they produced. And you'll start to see things change. Next, start to identify one emotion that's currently unspoken in your team. It might be anxiety before a big service or frustration when communication breaks down. Create that one small moment where it's safe to name it. And that's where trust within your team starts to build. So you can get the food right, the fit out right, and the brand right, and still lose your best people because of something you've never named. So let's start naming it.